It feels really bright out here. I'm sitting here in the shade of the house, the back of the house that faces north, and I'm sitting here without the sun, but I feel like I'm squinting. Um, the sun is coming onto the patio here about a metre in front of me, so maybe it's that reflecting off the patio. I don't know. Um, we are invited out for afternoon tea, goûter, this afternoon in about a couple of hours, just up the road to our neighbour. His daughter's come down to visit, so he wants us to go for afternoon tea, which will be nice, especially as we don't have to go far. Um, and I started thinking about, we were out with Lizzie and her friend Bob the other night and talking about, I don't know, talking about stuff. And they were discussing what was happening the next day. And I must have watched something yesterday or saw something yesterday that made me think about how, if Mark and I have something on every day, we find it quite exhausting, and our preference is to only have a couple of things on a week at the most. And yet, what I pick up from my travels around Facebook and elsewhere is that people are always doing something. There's something happening every day. Um, and I don't. I wonder whether that's your experience, whether you have something that you're doing every day, whether you wake up each day with a plan, because we don't. And we wake up each, we only wake up with a plan if there is a plan. We don't think about, well, what shall we do tomorrow? It's just tomorrow happens and we do whatever materializes. And rarely do we have a plan. And I wonder whether that's unusual or whether it's usual. I just, and thinking back to when we were both working, which is a long time ago now. We both stopped work. Mark was 58 and I was 51, 2051, I think. And I'm going to be 68 next week. So I've been retired 17 years. And but when we were working, you were going into work every day, get up every morning, same time every morning, into work every day, come home every day. And then Saturday and Sunday came the weekend, and you did things that you do at the weekend. Maybe you did the shopping. I know Mark and I would often, when we were in North Devon, we'd often wander on a Saturday through the high street in Barnstable, browsing, spending money that we didn't need to spend, buying stuff that we didn't need, stuff that we don't even think about now. So yeah, the weekend would be taken up with doing the things that you do when you're not at work, and then going back to work again. And now our week and weekend is taken up with not doing a lot, and then doing some of the things that you might need to do, like the shopping. We don't go browsing in shops any longer. Um, I realised was it this morning? Might have been this morning or last night, that I've become a door opener and feeder for animals. This cat who's laying over here on the patio comes in. It's quite a ritual because before bed, we always put a few treats down for her, make sure her bowl's topped up, and then we lock her the other side of the double door so she can't come and disturb us. So she comes and starts nagging me, and more recently she's been nagging me at about 10 o'clock. So I just get up now and do it because I think otherwise I'm just telling her to stop nagging, and she's sitting right at my feet watching my every move, which is just as irritating as her nagging me. So to get rid of her, I go and give her treats. So I did that, went and sat back down, and then she came in and sat looking at me. And I went, what? What? You've had your treats? I've talked to you about what? And she's looking at me. I get up again and I get up and I go to the door, and she's walking towards the door she wants open. Open the door, that's it, that's for the night. And I'm thinking, I'm just a bloody door opener. So that's part of my routine. Door opener, animal feeder, egg collector. I've just been down actually to see. I heard a lot of noise down here earlier, and that's normally a sign that somebody's laid an egg. and I want to take some eggs for our neighbour, and I've got 4 that I could give him. Excuse me, um, because I'm holding back some for us because we haven't had eggs for several days. I gave 6 to Lizzie, so I'm giving my eggs away, and then we end up with none ourselves. I love giving them away. So I'm taking 4 for him, and I've held back some for us. But I thought I'd go and have a look and see if there's any more, because I can then take him more. But I found a cache of eggs last night in the. There's a low lying. I've spoken about it before. There's a low lying, the evergreen halfway down the garden, and I walked past there last night, and I just glimpsed a cache of eggs in inside. So I had to walk back down and get my long spoon and come back up and spoon out. I think I picked up 5 or 6. Checked them all in, dropped them into some cold water, a deep cold water, to see. The cold water test is to see if they sink. If they sink, they're fine. If they're half beginning to think about not sinking, they're still fine. Halfway up, they're probably okay for cooking with. Floating on top, probably they're very, very old. Um, and sometimes we find a stash with 20 eggs in it, so it's been laid over a period of 2 or 3 weeks if it's just one hen, and mostly they're still fit to eat. They're probably still more fresh than those that you buy in a supermarket. So yeah, so I picked up a stash, and I was hoping for more. So what I found were no eggs where I saw last night. um no eggs next to inside the compost heap at the bottom there, the compost down in the chicken run, but a hen sitting on top of the straw bale. So I need to check on there tonight, because I can't see. I make an assumption there's nothing up there. Um, I need to have a look tonight. I could do with one of those logs, actually, if they're sort of this depth. Could do with one of those big logs there for me to stand on, to make a step for me so I can safely get up and look. I'll have a look and see if there's a suitable one down there, and then see if I can persuade the man whose knees are dodgy to move it for me. They're heavy though. I don't think I'll ask him. I started sorting out in the greenhouse, um, before we went away. The greenhouse had become forgotten, and I moved the agapanthus out, or got Mark to move the agapanthus out, and he moved, I think, something else out, which isn't out here. It must be out the front. So he moved some stuff out, and I didn't feel I could ask him to do more than he'd done. But there were at least 2 plants in the back of the greenhouse that also needed to come out. But it all got caught up with us going away. They needed watering. They didn't get watered. They got forgotten, and they died. And I have not wanted to go in and look. So I've been ignoring it for a long time. I think I might have glanced through the door, but knowing it was like way too late, I've just like, no, I can't deal with that now. Um, Irritating, but I just couldn't deal with it. So this morning I decided that I would begin to attack that. So I've started to attack it, and I've cut off the plants and removed the root balls and stalk from the pots they're in, because I can't lift the pots, they're too heavy. And the greenhouse is full of leaves and clay balls and shit and dead wasp's nest. What else was there? Oh, big spider. Um, I got a load of seed packets that have been eaten by something, gradually chewing through it in a basket. There was a basket I bought that I used for collecting eggs when we lived in North Devon, and that's been sitting in there with seed packets in it. Well, somebody's been living in that for some time and eating the seed packets. Not getting through to the seeds, I don't think, but stripping the paper off the seed packets, because there's lots of tiny coiled papery poo in the bottom of the basket. Big spider in there, tipped that out. And I've planted some chilies. I had some chili seeds, and I thought, I know that I can grow chilies. I've grown chilies before, they're very easy. And I thought, I need to do something and gradually work my way through that. So that's my plan. So I started that today, feeling bad about it, but I'm human, and life gets in the way, and our life certainly got in the way over the last few months. So I need to rectify that somehow. Otherwise, it's a waste of a greenhouse. I feel guilty about that. Tried growing tomatoes in the past. I'm useless at growing those. I was growing peppers in there last year. I don't think they worked very well. I don't know what it is. I don't know what I get wrong. But chilies I can grow. So I think I'm just going to grow loads of chilies. We don't eat a lot of chilies, so then I end up freezing them, but they're easy to freeze. And then you can use them like 2 years later. They are still frozen. And if you take them out when you want to use them at the time of cooking, they're really they're really good. They're really quite fresh. As long as you get to them and cut them up before they start to defrost, they work really well. So I'm going to make chilies, grow chilies and freeze them. Somebody asked if I thinned out the apples. I don't. You've heard how capable I am in the greenhouse. I'm a bit of a hands-off gardener, and I've said before, if it will grow without much attention from me, then it's fine. It gets on. If I have anything in the garden that requires me to attend to it, it doesn't really work. So the stuff that you see and that I show you is doing its own thing, and it's not down to me. It's down to the plant itself. I've noticed that the fig tree out the front has got a fig beginning to colour on there. I'm really pleased about that. I need to hold off and wait until the right moment to pick it and eat it, and it will be only me that eats them, so that's a good thing. I don't have to share them. There's a dandelion just across from me. It's not it's sort of dandelion. It's got that dandelion seed head on it, and the wind's blowing it, and I see puffs of seeds coming over. So we're going to have more dandelions. You see, they'll grow on this barren land. Yeah, I think that's all I was going to say. Just going to ask you, do you do something every day? Do you have a plan? Because we don't, and I think that we decided when we left work that we wouldn't have a plan, that we wouldn't have timetables, we wouldn't have a time that we must get up. And in fact, when we first came here, we didn't get up until quite late. I think we spent a long time recovering from our work life and the exhaustion of preparing to move and moving, and the stress of that. We took a long time to recover. I can remember the post lady would come and ring the doorbell, and I'd be shouting from up in the bedroom, Sharif, Sharif. And that would be about 11 o'clock. We don't do that now. I'm always up. I don't know what time I was up this morning, about 8 o'clock, but mostly I'm awake between 7 and 8. So yeah, we don't lay until 11 now. Those were the days. Okay, have a nice Sunday. See you again soon.